Hi, everybody out there in YouTube land. Maybe you're watching at halftime of one of our games or on WarrenWilsonOwls.com. My name's Chris with Warren Wilson, here with your head mountain biking coach, Matt Williams. Matt, thanks for giving us some of your time today.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
So tell us a little bit of your background and how you got started in riding and how that led to coaching.
Sure. Well, I first started riding a mountain bike when I was 5 or 6 years old, and I've pretty much been riding since then. I got into racing when I was 11 or 12, something like that. Just some weekly races up in Vermont, training races near my house, and going to the old Norba races at Mount Snow. For people who've been around for a while, I remember those. But yeah, I raced a lot in high school and through college, and actually raced at Warren Wilson for a couple of years, and fell in love with the riding down here. And since then, I've been racing pro for about 4 years on the mountain bike, and worked with the Warren Wilson team at times, and some other folks back up in Vermont, doing a little bit of coaching here and there, and was lucky enough to get the offer to come back down last season. Had my first full season as a head coach of the cycling team's mountain bike, road, and now cyclocross at Warren Wilson last year, and back at it again. So,
Is there a difference based on the geography of where you're at? Like, when I think of, I've lived in the western part of the country, and the kind of the Wyoming, Denver area, and those mountains are very jagged and rugged. Here, it's more free flowing, smooth, and then up in Vermont, I'm sure it's different. Is there differences there in how you ride and how you train and things like that?
sure, absolutely. I mean, the riding's different everywhere, and of course the riders who are really good are good anywhere. But that's everybody's goal. But yeah, I mean, Vermont is a little punchier, shorter climbs, lots of routes. And North Carolina is a pretty unique place. I love riding here because we really have the scale of the West Coast mountains. I mean, if you look at the vertical relief on some of these peaks, and you start in a valley like Old Fort down the road, and you're at about 1,000 feet, and Mount Mitchell, the high point, is almost 7. So you have these, even within that, you've got descents that are 2, 3, 4,000 vertical feet, and climbs to match. And so we have that West Coast scale, but the trails are filled with rocks and roots and the kind of stuff that I grew up riding and love riding. So it's kind of the best of both worlds to me.
It's really interesting to see where you've recruited to. I know, and I don't know if this person's still with the team or if it's a former rider or whatever, but from my neck of the woods in the Northeast Ohio area, where it's just that flat. So it's kind of interesting to see the sport and the popularity and where people come from. So what goes into recruiting and bringing people here?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, it's there's a lot of things really, and but we have riders from all over the country. We've got a rider from Alaska this year. We've got riders from Colorado, riders from the Midwest, New England, Florida, you name it. And so there's great riding everywhere these days, it seems like, and so a lot of it is Warren Wilson the right school for these folks, and I really think that comes first and foremost when you're thinking about college, and we're lucky that Warren Wilson is such a great school, really phenomenal liberal arts curriculum, and the triad is really a unique way to approach education, and so I think it's a really great fit for a lot of students that way. And then we happen to have what I think is a pretty fantastic mountain bike program to go along with that, and so and road and cyclocross as well. So there's a lot of factors that go into it, but we're lucky. We've got riders from all over the country, and they all seem to be doing pretty well. So
it's really been surprising to me, the diversity of the sport. So let's talk about the program itself. Before we look forward, let's look back. Last year finished 4th, I believe, in the country. So take us through that and the transition here now into this season.
Sure. Yeah. Well, last year was my first year as the coach, and it was great. It showed up in August, and I'd sort of been in touch with the program a little bit through friends and things like that over the years, and so I sort of had a sense of who was here, but I really didn't know any of the riders, and so I was sort of like, well, we'll see who's here, and I got really lucky. We have such a phenomenal group of riders here. Not only are they very talented on the bike, but they're just great people. They're great students. They're great leaders. They're great members of the community. They're really fun to work with, and they're willing to work really hard. And so we started off in Alabama. It was hot. It was sparsely attended. But got to start somewhere, and we did it, and sort of improved throughout the season. Lots of riders on the team raced themselves into shape, and everybody seemed to come around and peak at nationals, which is always the goal. And so we had some great rides there. Allison Jones, who's a junior for us this year, was on the podium in the Omnium. The overall competition sort of takes into account all the different races at nationals, 5th in the country for her, and had some other great rides. Robin Crandall, who's another junior back on the team this year, was 13th, I believe, in the cross country, which was by far his best result to date. The great thing for us is that we did lose some great seniors last year, but most of the core of the team is back again this year and will be again next year. We were a really young team last year, really heavy on sort of sophomore riders and some juniors. So it puts us in a great place coming into this year.
So you talked a little bit about some of the riders coming back this year. Let's talk schedule. What stands out schedule-wise for you?
Sure. Well, we're kicking things off this weekend in Brevard, which is sort of a tough weekend in many ways to start with. Pretty technical courses, so we'll be throwing people right into it. But folks have been doing a lot of work over the summer. We've got some great recruits here this year, so they'll be all right. And then we're pretty much flat out. We've got 1 or 2 weekends off all fall. It's a short season. It's really intense. Hitting a lot of classic stops, for Southeast mountain biking in Clemson, South Carolina. The old Olympic course outside of Atlanta, Georgia will be on. Where else are we headed to? Lees McRae for conference championships, which is right in Nationals neck of the woods. So that'll be great prep for us there. And then the main goal, as always, will be National Championships, which is back in Beech Mountain, North Carolina, again this year. And like you said, we were 4th last year on the podium, which is always the goal. And this year, we're really hoping to take it up one step and be top 3. So, yeah.
All right. No sophomore slumps for you, Matt.
No, hopefully not. Hopefully not.
Head coach Matt Williams, everybody. We'll let you go. Thank you for giving us some of your time.
Yeah, thanks so much.
All right, folks. We'll be back if you're watching at halftime, and if you're watching on YouTube, check out some